welcome to my channel. My name is Ariana and I like to read. I've had a bookstagram since I think February, and I post about what I read and recommendations and book reviews, and I just wanted to make another space where I talk about my current reads. And so this is my first video, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about fall book recommendations and also what's on my fall TBR. So let's get into the video. So the first series I want to talk about is the Ravenhood series by Kate Stewart, and it follows a girl named Cecilia. And Cecilia in the first book is pretty young. She's still a teenager, and she's returning to her hometown of Triple Falls. And basically she lives with her parents are divorced and she doesn't have a good relationship with her father, but basically she returns to Triple Falls in order to like make this deal with her father about like her inheritance. He's meant to just like work there for one summer, and then while she's there she meets two guys named Sean and Dom, and they really challenge her perception of like love, of like the world around her, and you see a lot of like personal growth, but there's also an undercurrent of a mystery going on because she knows that there's some things that Sean and Dom aren't telling her about Triple Falls, about the town, about her father's business. This book really just sets up the entire Ravenhood world essentially, and like once you get to Exodus, all of those ideas kind of tie together, and this is like really where the story becomes so amazing and picks up, and I was entirely hooked once I got to Exodus. And then the finish line, which is the final book in the series, kind of like wraps up everything with the bow. You get a lot more romance in the finish line between Cecilia and one of the other characters that you meet in the first book. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to like spoil what's gonna happen in the series, and so I think this is a perfect series to read if you're looking for like a transitionary like summer to fall sort of vibe. So when I think of fall, I think of fantasy, and so the next book that I'm going to recommend is actually The Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and the sequel to that, The Light and the Flame. And basically this is a spin-off of the From Blood and Ash world. You could definitely reread the From Blood and Ash series before if you want to, but you definitely don't have to in order to like understand what's going on in this story. Basically there's this girl named Sarah. She's been trained as an assassin, and her family has led her to believe that the only way that they are gonna save their homeland from this like terrible plague that's taking over all of the lands and like creating famine is for her to kill like the primal of death named Niktos. When they get married and she gets like closer to him, then she's supposed to kill him, and the idea is that that is going to like break the curse because he was putting the curse on like their entire homeland. The second book left off on such a big cliffhanger. I mean, I just couldn't even believe it when I read it for the first time. The Light and the Flame was actually my favorite book that I read last year, for sure, hands down. The romance is amazing, the chemistry between the characters, there's like so much depth to Sarah as a female main character. Like she's strong, she's brave, she's motivated. I just think that these books are amazing, and I would definitely recommend them for fall. The next series I'm going to recommend is The Inheritance Games. I'm not going to talk about this series for too long because obviously they're so popular, like everyone knows this series and has heard of them, but if you need like an encouragement to read The Inheritance Games, like let this be it. This was like one of the best series that I read last year. If you need like a good YA mystery, this is it. Basically Avery is this girl who has randomly inherited like all of this billionaire's money, and she hasn't met this billionaire, and she hasn't met these people before, and so there's like a lot of confusion, and it's their really famous family, like the Hawthorne family, and so she travels to Texas to like meet them and figure out what's going on. The mystery is so good. I mean, you find out there's a lot that Avery doesn't know about her own past, and basically her mother's passed away recently, and she has this half sister, and she doesn't really have a good relationship with her father at all. And so there's no one that she can really ask about her past. There's just a lot she doesn't even know about herself that you get to find out throughout the series, and then that ties into the mystery aspect of it. And yeah, it's just a really good YA mystery for fall. The next series I'm going to recommend for fall is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. And this is like a YA mystery. And basically what happens is 5 students walk into detention, but one of them never walks out. And it becomes like a murder mystery that they all have to solve in order to like not get in trouble. And so basically Bronwyn, Addie, Nate, Cooper, and Simon are the people all in detention. Basically, they all try to figure out who killed Simon, who's responsible, because it's one of them and they just don't know who it is. The interesting thing is, like, all of them have a secret that they don't want anyone to know, and then that's kind of woven into the story, and it puts pressure on them to solve the mystery, because they don't want people like really looking into like their background and figuring out like whatever their secret is. And it's really interesting. It's fast paced. I read this I think 2 years ago now, but I was like super engaged. This was like the first YA mystery that I ever read, and I totally loved it. I think this is a perfect series for anyone who wants to read a murder mystery but isn't sure like of the gory details, and like doesn't want anything too scary, but wants something like really fast paced. I definitely recommend this. This is like a great way to like start reading mysteries and start getting into the whole world of like murder mystery series. The next book I'm going to recommend is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and this is definitely like an adult mystery book. And basically you follow a girl named Casey, who is a recently widowed actress. I feel like sometimes like the back of books have really bad blurbs that make you not want to read the book, but I think this is a good one, so I'm going to read it. Casey Fletcher, a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press, has retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of bourbon, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple living in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom is powerful, and a formal model, Catherine is gorgeous. One day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other and the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage isn't as perfect as it appears. When Catherine suddenly vanishes, Casey immediately suspects Tom of foul play. What she doesn't realize is that there's more to the story than meets the eye, and that shocking secrets can lurk beneath the most placid of surfaces. This was really good. I enjoyed it. I read it this summer. I think it's like a perfect fall mystery because she goes to Vermont in the off season, and so it's like a little bit colder out, and like there's like fall vibes there. And yeah, now that I think about it, like Casey kind of sounds really creepy, like just like watching these people in a binocular. And definitely as I was reading the story, I kept being like, that's weird that she does that. Like that's so weird, just like continuing to watch people through binoculars like in their own house. If you like ghost stories and you're looking for a mystery that's less blood and gore but more like ghost stories, paranormal stuff, this is the perfect mystery for you. Okay, now I'm gonna recommend some romances. First series I'm going to recommend is the Twisted Love series by Anna Huang. I love her as an author. I read the Twisted Love series, and then I read her new series, like I think it's like King of Pride, King of Wrath, and I'm waiting for King of Greed to come out. And yeah, I just love everything she writes. And basically I think that this is like the perfect romance series to read during the fall time, because you follow, each book is like, they're part of an interwoven world. So you follow like a different main character in each book. So basically there's 4 girls and they're all best friends, and they go to school, they go to college together. Ava, Jules, Stella, and Bridget. When Ava's brother, Josh, goes away to like medical school, he asks his best friend Alex to keep an eye on his sister Ava, and so they do. But Alex is like this super unfeeling guy, and so even her friends think it's like funny that he kind of seems like he has like no emotions, and so they come up with like a plan to trick him into seeing like if they can get reactions out of him. And then it leads into Alex and Ava spending a lot of time together, but there's like a major plot twist towards the end. It just like gives me fall vibes. That's just what I thought of when I was like reading it. And so yeah, I definitely recommend this series. And like all of them have like different tropes. Twisted Hate, for example, which is the third book in the series, is definitely like enemies to lovers. Twisted Lies, which is the fourth book in the series, and my personal favorite is like fake dating. And all of her books, all of Anna Huang's books, like have characters who are really well fleshed out. Like Stella in this book, like there's just so much about her personally. For example, like there's like she talks about like her hopes, her dreams, and like all the characters make cameos like in the later books, and I just think they're so good, and I definitely recommend this series for fall if you haven't already read it. Okay, the last two books I recommend are standalones. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, like just came out. And this is my favorite Ali Hazelwood book. I read this and The Love Hypothesis. And I mean, it gives fall because it's like academia. I don't know, September reminds me of going back to school. Elsie, who is the female main character, is like a theoretical physicist, and in order to make ends meet, she signs up for this like dating app where she offers to be like a fake date for someone for a night. So she's like their fake girlfriend for like an entire day. And one of her clients, this guy named Greg, brings her to like a family function, and she meets his brother Jack, and he's super standoffish and rude and arrogant, and off the bat they like don't get along, and Elsie like really feels the need to have like people like her, and so this kind of like puts her off. And basically Elsie's also applying for like her dream position at MIT. She finds out that Jack is on the hiring team at MIT, and he's also like a, what is it? I think it's called like an experimental physicist. Yeah, he's an experimental physicist. And so experimental physicists and theoretical physicists are apparently like rivals. And so this book is like academic rivals and like enemies to lovers, and it's really fast paced. It's so good. And I think it's like the perfect book to read for the fall. If you just like want a standalone romance that's like fast and easy, I would definitely pick this up. Okay, and the final book I'm gonna recommend is My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington, L.J. Shen. I love this book. This is probably one of my favorite books that I've read this year so far. I just love like Romeo and Dallas. Like this is like the enemies to lovers. You're like, I want an enemies to lovers with a capital E in enemies. Like this is it, because I feel like so many enemies to lovers within the first like 100 pages, they're like already together and they've like solved, I don't know, they've like gotten over the hump of being enemies. This is not that. Like Dallas and Romeo hate each other in the beginning, and basically what happens is that Romeo has like ruins Dallas's engagement. Romeo has like a personal vendetta against Madison, who is Dallas's fiance, and he purposely gets like Dallas to like kiss him, and then at the last second he opens the door or moves the curtain so like everyone can see that Dallas has like now kissed him, and it's like so unfair because you know Madison's like cheating on Dallas like the entire time, and like it's completely fine between the two of them because it's like an arranged engagement, but I don't know, because of it, Dallas's reputation is like ruined, and so her father like kind of forces her to marry Romeo. Her like plans to get revenge on Romeo like had me shocked. Like they're so like, it was, she does this like one thing in the beginning, and I don't want to ruin it because it's actually so hysterical, but it's like amazing. It's like, I'm like, how did you even think of that? It's just like so fun to see it unravel and all come together, and this is like an amazing book, and I definitely recommend you read it this fall. And that's all of my fall book recommendations, and now we're gonna move on to my fall TBR. And so the first book on my fall TBR is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I've actually already started it, and basically I read the Cruel Prince trilogy like a couple months months ago, and I really wanted to read The Stolen Heir. Oakstad's been captured, and he needs to go on this quest to save him, and he enlists Ren, who's the female main character of this book. I want to read more like fantasy this fall, so like this book is like perfect for that. And I'm like already over halfway through, and I just like don't want it to end. It's like super fast paced. I definitely miss Jude, but like Ren is such a good female main character. She's very like clever and like quick thinking on her feet and very resourceful. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far. Okay, the next book I want to read is A Soul of Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and basically this is like the this is the fifth book in the From Blood and Ash series, and I've kind of been putting this off even though it came out in July because I've read a lot of reviews on Goodreads saying that it was kind of a disappointment because this is basically Castile's point of view of like what happened in the very first book of From Blood and Ash, and there's almost like no development of the story so it's like since the fourth book, and so you're not like, the plot isn't like being developed basically at all. I don't know like why I've always wanted that. I don't know, this book is like 600 pages, and so I mean I feel like it's like I always delay reading fantasy because I feel like there's so much that goes into it, and I feel like where fantasy like really gets me is like the last like 100-200 pages of like fantasy books. I feel like goes by so fast because like that's really where like the ball gets rolling, and I don't know, since I feel like I know it's gonna happen, I've been delaying it, but I really want to get to this fall because I love the From Blood and Ash world, and I really want to read it before the next book comes out in the like spin-off series that I was talking about in the beginning of this video. So yeah, A Soul of Ash and Blood on my TBR this fall. The next book I want to read is Lee Howard and the Ghosts of Simmons Pierce Manor. Basically, I saw this on TikTok and this like blew up. This author was like sitting somewhere. I don't know if anyone else has seen it. Like this author was sitting at like a table and like having a book signing, and there was like nobody there, and so someone like made a TikTok about it and it blew up, and it was like on the news, and he got like this huge following, and so I was like, I'm gonna support him and I want to read his book. And so yeah, I bought a copy. I have no idea what it's about. I just like blindly bought this copy from Barnes & Noble, and yeah, so I guess we'll see if I like it, but this is on my fall TBR. I think this is basically like a YA mystery, and so I think it's gonna be perfect to read this fall. And then I have more on my fall TBR, but like but there's like some books that like haven't come out yet, and so I know it just came out, but I don't have the physical copy here, so I'm gonna like insert a picture, like Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. And I love the Knock 'Em Out series, and I've been waiting for Lucian Sloane's book, like I feel like everyone has, for the past like 6 months at least. I loved Things We Never Got Over so much, and then I didn't like Things We Hide from the Light as much as I liked the first book, but I know that I'm just like, Lucian Sloane's book is like what I've been waiting for since the beginning, and so I really want to read that. And then I also want to read the next book in Liz Tom Ford's series. She writes like these sports romances. I read Mile High and The Right Move, and next is like one of the side characters named Kai, his story, and so I'm gonna insert a picture of the cover. I think she has released the cover, and I'm really looking forward to reading that this fall. That's all of my fall TBR and fall book recommendations. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe if you want, and I'll leave the link to my bookstagram down below. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.